Hi everybody, welcome back to cityhair.com. I'm the Everyday Chef, and today we're going to do a nice simple video on how to make a homemade salsa. Now the video itself isn't really about how to make salsa. What I'm going to show you is more of some knife techniques on how to julienne peppers. And this is my 3-pepper salsa, and I'm using a jalapeno, a poblano pepper, and just some sweet bell peppers. And I already have some things done and set in place. I have my tomatoes here. And the tomatoes, I don't care for skin on my tomatoes in my salsa. So what I've done is I took the core out and then flipped the tomato over and put a little X on the bottom, just score it. Put it in some boiling water, leave it there for about 30 seconds, and then put it into an ice bath to stop the cooking. And that just loosens the skin from the tomato. And I have the tomatoes here in a strainer just to drain the juices out, because I also don't care for a really juicy salsa. I like it to be more chunky and thick. And I've also done the same thing with some onions, and they're here in this closed container to keep the smell from bothering everybody. So those are ready to go. I have some jalapeno and some poblano already chopped up there. And now I'm going to show you basically how to julienne and how I've diced the jalapenos, because I've had a lot of people ask me about knife skills, so I'm going to try to teach you something about how to julienne. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first thing I do to show you how I hold my knife, I have a hard time with good knife control holding a knife like this. So what I do is I take my index finger, and you'll see a lot of people do this too, and kind of curl it. If you know sign language, you'd be making the letter Q, and make the and put it right over the edge of the blade by the handle or the top of the blade. And that's how I hold it. I find that gives me, and there's my thumb also on the blade, I find that gives me better control of the knife. So, and then when you're cutting, it's just keep where the blade begins to curve, keep it on the cutting board, and it's an oval motion basically, and you just want to be smooth, and you don't want to let the blade here in the front where it's rounded come off of the board. And it's just a nice smooth motion, just up and down. And what you want to do, I have the poblano here to show, is you just want to let the knife just work its way right through the pepper. You don't want to chop down on it. Obviously it works if you have a good knife, but a dull knife will bruise your fruit or your vegetable that you're cutting. So just let the knife just cut easily right through. That's all there is to it. And that's basically how you julienne, except the julienne is a very small slice. It's going to be smaller than any of that. Now to show you how I cut a pepper, I take the bottom and the top off. And the top I take off just below where the stem is. I take my knife down the inside of the pepper in between the veins, and that opens the pepper up. And then I go into the pepper and just kind of roll the pepper around and cut the veins out, and that'll get out all your seeds right there, still connected. You can just cut it in half and work the rest of the vein out. That's kind of a bitter part of the fruit, the seeds. And peppers are pretty good to learn how to julienne on. You can make it smaller so it lays flatter. And you can do it from either side if you want to do it from the top side or the bottom side. And then, like I said, just keep your fingers curled and keep the knife blade on the board, and just do real small slices of the pepper. There's no need to go fast. Speed comes with practice. And if you're having a hard time, when you get to this much left, I'll show you the perfect thing to do with this much of a pepper. Right there. And to put this in my salsa, I just turn it sideways and still the same thing. Keep the knife flat on the board and just do a much smaller one to get a nice dice out of the pepper. Just work your way right through whatever it is that you're chopping. I don't have the best knife skills in the world, But that's the basics right there of how to do a julienne and how to dice something fine. So I'm going to add these to my salsa over here. For the rest of the salsa though, all I'm going to do, I have my peppers there. I'm going to add my tomatoes in a nice pile. Go ahead and throw in the onions. And the good thing about the salsa is right now it's spring just started. To me, it's just a really wonderful taste of all the summer harvest. Another thing that I'm going to add, three more ingredients. I'm going to add lime zest and lime juice. And that's just to kind of give it a little bit of acid. And all of this could really come right out of a jar too, and nobody would know the difference. But the fresh, get a little pride in it. You know that you made it, you know that it's fresh, and it will taste better. Don't go beyond the white part of the fruit there. And I keep the lime, and I'll add some juice to it. Just cut it in half and squeeze some juice. Now the two other things that I'll add are garlic and cilantro. And this is the only time I cheat. I use jarred garlic. It's just a little easier. Save some time. And for this much salsa, I'll probably just put about a tablespoon and a half. I'm a garlic fan. That's all we're going to do with that. And with the cilantro, herbs are also a very good thing to use to learn how to use a knife. I'll just pick the cilantro right off and get some stems in there too, because the stems have a lot of the flavor. That's probably good right there. But the herbs are very good to practice your knife skills and how to keep your hand out of the way. Just bunch them up, and you want to be sure you have a really sharp knife and a flat board. And just work your way through it. Hold it together as best as you can, and after you work your way through it, just kind of push it all back together. And it's going to take a while, so I'm going to work on this, and then we'll throw the rest of it together. So I finished chopping up the cilantro, and we're just going to throw it right into the salsa. And like I said though, the stems really do add a lot of flavor. So if you get a couple stems in there, don't worry about it, because they'll all get cut up too. Just going to add that right in there. Now, I've already added some lime zest, but the cilantro and the lime really are good complements to each other. And the acid of the lime will kind of balance out the cilantro a little bit, as well as it all helps the cilantro and the lime, I think, also help kind of tone down the taste of the onions a little bit. But that's just my opinion. Okay, so the only thing else we're going to add here, got a little bit of a mess, but is just some lime juice. And this one doesn't have many seeds. If it did have seeds, I would probably hold it over. But this one doesn't have many seeds at all, so we're just going to squeeze it in there. I start with the juice of half a lime, and if I find that it needs more, we can just add more. And that's all there is to it, to a fresh salsa. Give it a stir. We'll see how it looks. Smells fantastic, the lime and the cilantro. Be sure you work your way all the way down to the bottom of the bowl and get things really mixed up. And that just looks amazing. That to me is really a look of summer coming. It's just right around the corner. Fresh vegetables all together here. Herbs. Everything really fresh. We'll take a little taste and see if I need to add anything. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is it. When you know you've got something right and you don't need to do anything else to it, don't try to think about adding something else, because you're right on the money. You know it when you taste it. Folks, I hope you learned something here today. If you try to julienne something at home, please be safe, take your time, be slow, and keep your fingers out of the way. And thank you for watching The Everyday Chef here at cityhair.com. And to let you know, log on to cityhair.com and check a profile out of The Everyday Chef. I'd be glad to be your friend. And also on the videos, we have a new section above the videos where there's a recipe link where I'm going to be listing all the recipes for the videos. Thanks again for watching, and remember, the secret ingredient to any recipe is a dash of imagination.